I won't be playing the part that talks about this, but see, way up here by Bristol, she may have originally been brought up there. They originally were going to keep her around, but when it got high profile, they decided to go ahead and use her for this. What they were going to do is kind of what I picked up, I would say, about this. Hopefully, hopefully it's wrong. I think we all hope in the back of our mind that, the nice little Robin helps her find a new home and she's off. And that could happen. Look at the girl that was missing for 12 years and it turned out the man was keeping her in his shed, and things like that could happen. And a reading could potentially be incorrect. Usually it's incorrect in little ways or in interpretation, but either way. So I think in some readings that's around, we kind of have an idea when we focus on the remains of where they might be. And I would be checking all of these underpasses along this river, specifically when you use Eastman Chemical as merely a landmark, okay, not trying to imply anything here, and just using that as a landmark and looking, and notice how a lot of these overpasses now have these big islands, and so you see these islands. So, and one of the points I'm saying, they're going to take me on a boat there. Now, does that mean just because they want to show me that it's up the river? So when I look and see, you might know more. This is all built out now. So when I talk about the Jacks building, I am talking about this building. They built a big statue of what is a man holding molecules, but to me in the vision, they look like jacks that you play with. And so that's why I call it the Jacks building. And then across the street here, this appears to be the loading docks for the company. And I'm talking about the loading docks in just even where I'm talking about being able to see the loading docks across the street and this. So I would be like looking all in all these places. Like, what's this? Just says check here. So this is a bridge that actually is no longer in service, but there's no warnings or anything not to go on it. And interestingly enough, it's right next to a cemetery right here. So let's see if we can get how close we can get there for you. As click to here. It's not cooperating. It's quibbing out. This whole program's quibbing out. Okay, let's see. Look at that. An overgrown bridge. It doesn't say you can't go there. It just says road closed. And on the other side, if we flip this around, you can go like that. So this is what it looks like. Again, these signs don't say do not trespass. They don't say private property. They just say the bridge doesn't work and you can't park in front of the gate. I would definitely look under that one. I would be looking under all of them though, and you're going to understand why. I'm doing my best. I took some clips out of the reading I'm going to put in here so you could understand why I'm talking about using these as markers. They were having me draw lots of lines to different things. But part of it, they were talking about where Summer was brought and what happened to her and that kind of thing. Oh, and one thing I wanted to clarify, it sounds like in this reading, okay, so I see Domtar Park, and I had noticed that too before Ryan went there, but because of the iron gate with the brick post, but it sounds like when I'm listening to this, the January 23rd reading, it sounds like I'm talking about that kind of gate set up being at the building with the big brick building with the white columns. So that's either like a mansion or a funeral home or somebody's giant house. Apparently that's obviously a style from that part of the country, so you can't run around blaming anyone. But if you are looking, go back and look and see if any of them have these iron gates with, and it might be brick pillars on the side. It could also be cinder block or just some other decor. But anyways, I would be looking at all the bridges all along this river. I would actually get a little boat and I would go all along the river and I would look at all these, do you see how they have islands? Right? They have islands, and see on here how far we are from. So there's another baseball thing there too, and I was describing that. I was describing all these things at a time when we hadn't located even where this was, and we think it's here. Look, here's a park too that has some hilly areas. All along the river is there, but where would it be private? Under a random train bridge, on an island, under an overpass. And you'll hear there's a little bit of confusion, just like on all of them, trying to understand. And I try to cut out the parts that, talk about who did what and who's involved. But I will just say there's a lot of people involved. A lot. And I don't know. I just think the FBI should be looking at this one here. Oh, okay. So anyway, and the reason I was drawing all these lines is they were telling me to draw a line there, draw a line to the edge of the state, which best I could, it may be when she was alive, she was taken there. Here's an actual place called Tennessee Hills, I think. And besides the brewery, but again, and none of these, I'm not saying any of these businesses are involved, but it turned out like in the other reading when I was talking, it wasn't the one in Johnson City, it was somewhere else, Jonesboro. I talked about quite a few things here in a different reading. And then a bunch of people wrote me and said Don Wells was working like a mile and a half away from there. And one of the places he was working at, I think, had the word Ivy in the housing complex, as well as they had these sliding doors too that look like horse barn doors, but they're decorative in the house. So there's like quite a bit of information. So you really cannot just make a deduction off grabbing one piece of information. There's a huge voluminous amount of information, and I can only spend this much time, and then later in January I can spend more time, but I think this will give, and if anyone wants to go out there and help Ryan to look. But look at how the name horse, see that horse, there's either a horse connection, a barn connection. She may have originally been buried under there, and it could be nothing that this Horse Creek Lane exists here. It goes up into these little hills of I think what's this, the Bay Park or something like that, Bays Mountain Park. So I would be checking this entire stretch, all the stretch on both sides of this. I would be checking, and you'll understand why as soon as